this story about Ron DeSantis busing people to Martha's Vineyard, it's kind of a continuation of what Greg Abbott's been doing, right? He's been sending people to D.C. and the DeSantis one is kind of weird. I'm interested to see like how it actually went down. It seems kind of like a kidnapping scheme, to be honest. Like, I don't know at what point they were, like, were they in state custody, and how did they end up being in state custody as opposed to like federal immigration custody? But just in general, I mean, I've been practicing in immigration law for like 11 years, and I've met a lot of people coming to seek asylum, and I don't think I've ever met anyone who came to the country and like didn't have a place to go. Like,
right.
If you don't have somewhere to go, you don't come here. You go to Costa Rica where your aunt lives, or you go to, Bulgaria or wherever. You have a neighbor or a family member. And so, like, the normal practice is for Border Patrol to make contact with those people, put you on a bus headed in that direction, and give you an appointment to check in later down the road with ICE. And so this whole thing of like just sending someone to DC so that they could then, I guess, take another bus to wherever they're trying to go. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's all just about, obviously, like stirring up confusion. I talked to my dad a couple weeks ago, and he's like an Earnest news consumer, but he's conservative, so his news is all like Breitbart. And he was like, hey, now that they're not enforcing the border, like, do those people come to you for help? And he really thinks like that Biden told Border Patrol to stand down. And then he brought up, well, aren't they busing everyone to D.C.? And so it's on the radar of sort of like people like my dad.
Yeah.
But it's just a total fabricated, kind of thing. It's actually really bizarre.
I mean, they're breaking records for border stoppages, are they not? I saw something like 2 million. They're approaching 2 million this year.
Right, and some of that has to do with like the Title 42 stuff and the fact that, somebody before Title 42 would, be apprehended, processed for an asylum claim, and then allowed to enter. And during the pandemic, they've just been sending people back without any kind of processing. So they end up, the recidivism rate has gone through the roof. So instead of catching somebody one time, you catch them 5 or 6 times. But yeah, I mean, there's a process
remain in Mexico too, because they're essentially being housed over there.
Well, yeah. So remain in Mexico is a little bit different. That says like, well, you can apply for asylum here, but you just have to like hang out in Mexico for 6 years while we process your application. But Title 42 says we're not going to process anything. You're not being deported. It's not a voluntary return. We're just literally dropping you back off in Mexico. Because of the pandemic, right? So, there were no immigration consequences, and so people just kept trying over and over again. And that's one of the reasons why the apprehensions has been so high. But, and even like the framing of sending illegal immigrants to, that's the headline I keep seeing, like DeSantis sends two private jets full of illegal immigrants. Well, like they've been processed. Like it's not illegal. It's, the immigration laws allow for somebody to request asylum, to be processed, and to be paroled into the United States. So even the framing is, obviously got a right-wing bent to it. And yeah, I mean, it's gross. The whole thing is gross. It's especially gross. I mean, I hate to, any kind of framing that sort of puts immigrants in like a labor box or whatever, but like we are a country with a labor shortage. Like we need workers, and here's people who are coming and they're willing to live here and work, and we still find a way to criminalize even the people who are like trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, yeah, DeSantis, it'll be interesting to see, I think, as the story develops, like exactly how they came to get on these planes, if it was ICE or Border Patrol, or it sounds like it was probably the state, in which case, you know,
Biden should look into that. We got a DOJ, like seriously. But all right, thanks, Raygun. I appreciate the context.
Take care.
Bye. Yeah, it's just the usage of other human beings for political stunt just really stuck with me. This really stuck with me this morning, and the images of those kids like in Edgartown, and yeah, I mean having to stay at the high school just because it scores points. He thinks DeSantis does.
There's precedent too. JFK Library at JFK Library just tweeted out an image. They captioned, "To embarrass Northern liberals and humiliate black people, Southern White Citizens Council started their so-called reverse freedom rides, giving black people one-way tickets to northern cities with false promises of jobs, housing, and better lives." There's an article from a paper that says Negro family on way here. So it's America.
Yep.
It's a Christian nation. That's the most Christian thing I could think to do.
Right.
That's what Jesus would have done to any refugees. He would have put them on a bus.
That's what you do. You do what DeSantis did when you really care about trafficking. When you're really anti-trafficking. Yeah, that's what you do.
Jesus setting up a whole bunch of like ox carts to bring lepers into Hebron. Yeah,
to prevent human trafficking, one must human traffic.
It's funny that they think this is embarrassing the libs. Like this is like they're like, oh, it's to embarrass northern states. It's like, yeah, like they're the ones who are going to be embarrassed by this stunt. By your despicable, just cruelty.
Yeah. I can't shake the sense that he's peaking too early. I hope this blows up in his face.
Doug Brandon needs to have the FBI do a little. What's James Comey doing? Maybe he can have release another memo, like
bring him back.
sabotaging.